Good morning. It's just after 9 o'clock on Tuesday the 24th of March 2020, and last night the Prime Minister of the UK announced a complete lockdown. People are only allowed to go out for the essentials. They're allowed to go to work, and they're allowed one form of exercise per day. Unfortunately, I'm unable to work from home, and I've been instructed to go into my workplace to collect the desktop PC so I can take that home, and then I can continue working from home. So that's what it's all about today. Is driving up to Warrington from Macclesfield, just so you can see what it's like. It's a ghost town. You can see there's a few cars on the road, but other than that, even where I live, the roads have been extremely quiet. It's quite eerie. It's almost like one of these zombie apocalypse movies. Interesting times though, interesting times. But yes, we've just got to keep safe and maintain our social distancing, and try to stay at home. And once I get this PC from work, that's exactly what I intend doing. So this is the A537 heading out of Macclesfield, and the A537 that runs between Macclesfield and Knutsford. Now usually this time of day, this road would be absolutely chock-a-block with traffic. You'd be seeing the tail end of the rush hour traffic. If you're wondering what type of car I'm driving, it's an older Volvo C30 2007 model. You're probably wondering what the red light is on the dashboard, so that's the reason why it's there. It's the Volvo alarm system. I wouldn't like to be that AA breakdown fella. You'd have to be dealing with loads of different people every day. Seems to be a lot busier than I expected. This is Monk's Heath. We're crossing over here and continuing our journey from Macclesfield to Knutsford. I wonder if all these other people on the roads have been instructed to go into work like I have. We've got an allocated time slot at work to collect our equipment, so we're not all going in at the same time. It's actually quite pleasurable to be driving into work with so little traffic. You know, usually we're sitting along here and we're going almost bumper to bumper. We're on the section of road that's between Monk's Heath and Chelford. So this is the Chelford roundabout. This is where we meet up on the motorbikes. We usually meet up at the Shell garage there on ride-outs, or it's one of the meeting points. Nice Toyota RAV4 in front of me. I've always wanted one of those Toyota RAV4s, but I've just never had the money or the opportunity. You know, I've bought cars over the years, but just never presented with the opportunity, never the right time. I'd love to have one though. So if anybody wants to sponsor me a Toyota RAV4, yeah. So as we go over the bridge, there's a new estate that's been built on the left. It's a new housing estate. And then just beyond the pedestrian crossing there, you've got the farm supply shop to the left. And on the right here, you've got a butchery, AJ Boone's Butchery. It's probably one of the best butcheries I know in the area. So this is where I'll go to and get my large rump steaks for barbecues. Looks like they're shut. I know a while ago that AJ Boone's, they had a notice on their front door saying that anybody who was in the high risk or vulnerable category, i.e. that's the elderly or people with underlying health issues, they could call ahead and get their supplies in advance. Good idea. Just don't know know if they're still going to be open now. Everything seems to have been shut around us. All the shops have been closed. And last night I went onto the Tesco online grocery store. I tried to see if I could get some groceries online. Unfortunately, I think the websites are all just overloaded, and they're struggling to cope with the number of people going online. So I had a quick look, saw that I couldn't get on, and left it. I tried again later and later, and then I noticed after 11 o'clock at night, after 11 p.m, I was finally able just to get onto the actual website to browse the groceries. I've still got some supplies of groceries in our cupboards at home. We went out. I think we were quite lucky. We haven't done a large food shop for ages, and we somehow managed to time it quite well. In that we went shopping. I think it was 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday evening, about 9 o'clock. Before all of this panic buying started. I think it had only just started. We got to Tesco, and well, naturally all the toilet paper was the first thing that was missing off the aisles, and also any antibacterial spray or wipes and hand wash. And the pasta was off the shelves, and so was tinned tomatoes. But funnily enough, the expensive Italian tinned tomatoes, they hadn't been touched. So we were still able to get what we needed. Pasta, they had the stacker trolleys in the middle of the aisles, and they were going to restock the shelves. The shelves. I saw some pasta on there, so we only took what we needed. I took two 500-gram spaghetti packs. You know, there's no point just being greedy and just taking a load off the trolley so that nobody else can get. So yeah, we only took what we needed. I think we bought enough for about 2 weeks, and then we bought a few shower gels, etc., just to see us through. I said to my partner, look, let's get things for 2 weeks and see how it goes. Unfortunately, we don't seem to eat that much at home, so we've not been ploughing through our food, which is great. All the meat we've put into the freezer, and we've frozen that, so we bought enough meat for a couple of weeks. And other than that, we stocked up on a couple of pizzas and some ready meals. Yeah, we bought I think 3 ready meals each. So yeah, I think we're all right. All right for the time being. I also think that with all the shops being closed now, people are going to stop panic buying and probably start placing orders online. So there's going to be some sort of order that'll happen now. Some semblance of order. So what is this person in front of us doing? Sitting at 30 in a 50. You often tend to find that here between the stretch between Macclesfield and Knutsford, people will sit here doing 30 or 40 all the way along. They're entitled to do whatever speed they want, but when you're going to work, it's quite frustrating sitting behind somebody in a Honda Jazz that only wants to do 30 miles per hour. And yeah, as I thought, as soon as you try and overtake, then they speed up. Yeah, it happens all the time. They see you trying to overtake, and then they speed up. Silly people. And then as soon as you've passed them, they're sitting in the background, they've slowed right down again now, probably slowed down to about 30. But it's just that as you go to overtake them, I had to go quite quickly. I know the speed limit's 50, but I had to go quite quickly to overtake that person who was doing 30 miles per hour at one stage. Makes me so mad I want to spit. Oh, probably shouldn't be spitting now in these times, turbulent times. Well, this is Knutsford. We're on the outskirts of Knutsford here. Some beautiful houses here that line the streets, although I wouldn't like to live on the street because it is so busy during the week. Yes, I understand it's Tuesday, it's 24th of March 2020, but the UK is now in lockdown, and I just thought I'd show people what the UK looks like. Unfortunately, I work on a critical project, and I've been instructed by work to go in and collect my desktop PC so that I can work from home. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I've left my home, driving straight to work, no dilly-dally, going to open the boot of my vehicle, contact the people inside the building and get them to drop my desktop PC into my boot, and then I'll drive straight home. I do feel that this lockdown should have happened weeks ago. It was ridiculous to see on Facebook large groups of motorcyclists. I'm a motorcyclist myself, but a large group of these motorcyclists that went out for a ride on their own, which is fair enough. But then they all stopped together for a rest break, for cups of tea at the same cafe, at the same greasy spoon. And it was ridiculous, you know, they were taking pictures of themselves, hundreds of them that had gathered at certain locations. And you think to yourself, geez, come on guys, you know, use your noggin. Well, just looking down towards that main street to the right there, and yeah, Macclesfield looks desolate. I can't believe this. It's now 9:20 and it's empty. These roads are usually heaving with traffic. It'll be interesting to see how Warrington looks. Warrington is exceptionally busy traffic wise, so it'll be interesting to see. So we're on the M6 now. Hear the engine of my car spinning furiously. It's only got a 1.6 litre petrol engine, so when I drive at motorway speeds, which is 70 miles per hour, the speed limit is 70 miles per hour here in the UK, the engine's spinning at about 3.5 to 3,750 RPM. That makes quite a racket, and I suppose it has to for such a small engine. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've been feeling quite stressed lately. The last couple of weeks, unfortunately I suffer with asthma, so any form of stress or anxiety seems to trigger my asthma. And the last couple of weeks, while this coronavirus on the media has been taking hold of the media, and everybody's been gripped in fear, honestly my asthma has been crazy. I've been having to rely on my asthma pumps a lot more frequently now than what I have in the past. The good old M6, I tell you what, they've been doing roadworks on this M6 for I don't know how long. Is it 4 years or 5 years? It's been absolutely horrendous, this M6. I used to drive down to Birmingham every other weekend from Warrington along the M6. I used to go and collect my son for a weekend, every other weekend. I've just been thankful the last year or so he's been old enough to get the train, so he gets the train all the way up from Birmingham to come and visit me. Unfortunately now, during the coronavirus time, he's not going to be able to do that, so I've just told him to stay home. But yeah, in all those years, it's been difficult driving up and down this M6 while they've been doing roadworks. I don't know if it's just me, but years ago they used to do roadworks on these motorways and other main roads, and they'd be over within a few weeks. But nowadays they just seem to take years. Any work that they do is for years and years, and they restrict the speed of traffic because they narrow the lanes. I understand they want to try and protect their workforce, but the workforce isn't working. You know, the workforce will only come out after 10 o'clock at night, and So they start imposing all these restrictions after 10 p.m. on the motorways here in the UK, so that the workforce can do the road repairs and whatever else it's needed. But then during the day they leave the speed restrictions in place. I don't understand it. I can imagine everybody's going to be on edge when I go to the office building. Unfortunately, I won't be able to film the office building, but we should be able to see on the roads close to the building, see what's happening. Just have to reiterate, I can't believe what a pleasure it's been driving on these roads, these relatively empty roads, heading to work this morning. If you can see the traffic, the oncoming traffic on the other side, the far side to the right there. In the UK, that's nothing. Usually this part of the M6, where the M56 joins the M6, again it's one of those pinch point areas. There's just so much traffic here in the mornings. You can barely switch lanes. It's just crazy. Let's try and get past these white vans. Mornings I would have already been in the inside lane, miles back, just preparing myself for the next slip road, which is only now still a mile ahead. So yeah, generally I'm about a mile and a half to 2 miles. I'm already preparing myself to get into this lane, fighting my way across all the traffic, trying to get into this lane so I can take the slip road for Warrington. With all these people of work, I'm also left wondering that, about the economy. I wonder just how bad the economy is going to be hit. I didn't see this coming. I invest myself for my future, for my pension and in an ISA, and my investments have gone down. They've dropped substantially. I'm looking at almost a 30% drop. And that's just at the start of this this episode. So I wonder how bad things are going to get. Because if it's anything like China, China have been in a lockdown for eight weeks. I follow one of these investing gurus on YouTube who's from China, and he posts videos, and he was showing how he went to work the other day, and he said after 8 weeks they've only just let them out the house, and they're no longer scanning them for their temperatures. They were doing that up until 8 weeks ago. So it was very, very interesting to see what was happening in China. So I think the UK, we're only at the start of our journey, and 8 weeks is a very long time for people not to be at work, not to be earning. I know the government has bent over backwards to try and accommodate us and help, which is very good. And I just, my heart goes out to all those emergency workers and hospital staff. It can't be easy being asked to go into work to treat people that are knowingly carrying this virus. It must be so difficult for them, having to go home to, I don't know if they go home to their families at night, or if they have to self-isolate now for a few months from their families. Imagine that. You've been put under all this immense pressure. You're having to do a dangerous job, and then on top of that all, you're still being segregated from your family for, I imagine, for at least 12 weeks. It's just, you just cannot comprehend how stressful that must be for these people, these emergency and NHS staff. It's incredible. I take my hat off to them, because I don't know if I could do that. Not only that, putting themselves in the front line at risk of infection. It's just, wow. I really do hope that after this episode, that the UK government does something good for all those NHS staff, that have put their lives on the line for us. hopefully the chap that the mobile speed camera, there's a chap that sits here and he's normally here on sunny days after 9 o'clock on this particular stretch of road. The speed limit along here is 40 miles per hour and he sits here just after this sign. So this is the B5210, heads across over to Birchwood. It's just on the outskirts of Warrington. Got many large businesses. You'll see now as I turn right at this next roundabout. I'm going to take the A574 towards Birchwood. I'm going to cross over the M62, and yeah, on the Birchwood industrial estate there's many businesses. So it'll be very interesting to see which businesses are still running and which aren't. Been talking that much that I'm feeling quite lightheaded. Just looking at this fancy Porsche in front of us. It's a Porsche Macan S. I've seen these Porsche SUVs on the roads. You see them quite regularly here in the UK, but I don't think it's a very handsome looking vehicle. I think the likes of the Range Rover and the what's that, VW Touareg, I think those are far better looking cars than that Porsche. I know Bentley and even Lamborghini have come out with their SUVs, but my goodness, they are ugly looking cars. They really are ugly, and I don't know if some people buy them just because it's a Lamborghini or a Bentley. I just don't understand it. But then again, you only live once, so hey, you got to do whatever makes you happy. I think if I was going to get a nice car, I think I'd like to get a Range Rover. They do look quite impressive and they look so luxurious inside. I used to have an old Mark 1 Land Rover Freelander. I used to love driving that thing. It was probably one of the most unreliable cars I ever had. I spent about £6,000 on it over a period of just over 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, almost 3 years really. It was so unreliable, but I just like driving it. I like that elevated driving position. I think the only thing I didn't like was the very short first gear. Thus into Warrington. So yeah, I do like those SUV type vehicles, those 4x4s. I bought the Land Rover Freelander when I moved over to Macclesfield. You know, a few years ago we had such heavy snow here in the UK that I thought, okay, right, I'm in Macclesfield, and driving that little road, that country lane between Macclesfield and Knutsford, there's a good chance that if it snows, people won't be able to get to work. So I bought the Freelander with all good intentions of driving through the snow. I had nice knobbly mud and snow tyres on, but it was just so unreliable. I had the clutch replaced, I had all the diesel injectors replaced, I had the turbo replaced. Oh, the list just goes on and on and on. But yet I still enjoy driving it, so I can understand the attraction. You know, people buying these big, large SUVs, you know, these Range Rovers, I can understand the attraction. But my goodness, it costs a lot of money to run them. Right, so I'll leave you there as I head into work. So I'll get around this roundabout, I'll switch off. So see how quiet it is along here. Right, take care, keep safe and self-isolate.